A couple more news stories from Bonkers Economics this week. Well, first of all, it's being reported that the brains of children growing up in areas of greater inequality are not developing in the same way of the brains of children in other areas. And this is not in a good way. And it's also affecting people in areas of greater inequality, even if they're not themselves particularly poorly off. So it's a pretty serious healthcare issue. And it's reflected in this image here, which actually shows the healthy life expectancy in the UK of people in the wealthier parts of the country and that of people in the least wealthy parts of the country. And that's a 20-year difference in healthy life expectancy. So yes, inequality does make a real and significant difference. We can see that here. And if it's affecting the brains of children growing up, then that is really, really fundamental, and that is a serious concern. And while we're talking about inequality, the Resolution Foundation is reporting that inequality in the UK, wealth inequality, is getting greater. It's not surprising. But the weird thing about that is that wealth, when we talk about people's financial wealth, we're talking about things like their house values, for example, and the value of their portfolio of shares in their pension fund and that sort of thing, most of which, of course, is concentrated in the richest part of society. And so wealth has grown enormously on that measure over the last 10, 15, 20 years. But what people never remember is that when we talk about wealth, we're not talking about the actual value, we're talking about the price of something. So if house prices have risen enormously as they have over the last 20 years, then that creates the impression that Britain's national wealth has increased. But actually it's just the price of everything that's increased, and that means that the people who own stuff like houses and share portfolios feel that they're wealthier. But everybody else, of course, is worse off because they have to pay more rent to access housing, or they have to pay more in terms of prices for everyday goods and that sort of thing. So this idea that the UK has become much wealthier because house prices and share prices have risen is for the birds. It's complete nonsense. It's not wealth in a real sense. It's just a transfer of wealth. It's a transfer of resources from people who now have to pay more to people who are lucky enough to receive more. And that's also reflected in this image. Inequality is baked in to the British economy, and we're seeing pretty serious consequences as we see here.